Hi, English 101. This is Fran, just checking in after week one. I hope that week one treated you well and that you didn't have any major problems with anything. Definitely remember to feel free to send me a private message if you do. Yeah, I just wanted to check in about a few things that are going on for week two. So let me look at my notes quickly here. There's a few other assignments to do, but I thought that I would really tell you mostly about the 3 written assignments that you're going to have to send to me via a private message. Those are the ones that I think people generally have the most questions about. So I'll start with the easiest. The easiest one is the Appendix 2 notes. You'll find Appendix 2 in the back of your textbook. So if hopefully everyone has the current version, but if you flip to the back, it's the second appendix, thus Appendix 2. And I want you to read through that carefully and take thorough notes. The notes should help you for the rest of the quarter, including on the midterm, potentially on the final. So what I'm looking for is nothing major. I do like you to use some formatting so that you can get information from the notes at a glance. And I do want the notes to be thorough. I check to make sure that you've touched upon all of the important sections, gotten all the way to the end. So so make sure those are typed, and they should be sent as an attachment because they should be at least a page, I would think. And send those as an attachment, a Microsoft Word attachment to me via private message. As long as you are thorough, you'll get full credit for those. The second written assignment, again, I prefer that you send this via attachment, a Microsoft Word attachment, because I usually end up cutting and pasting this if you don't. It's not mandatory though, but the second written assignment is called a précis, and basically a précis is another word for a summary. So what you're going to do is pick any story that we've read thus far, or actually you can pick any story on the syllabus. Don't pick any story that's out there in the world because I haven't read all of them, but any story in the syllabus is fine. And you're going to write a 1-paragraph summary of the story. One of the most important things I can remind you that people forget to do is no matter what you have in your title, make sure that you include the author's name and the story title. Short stories are in quotation marks. Double quotes. Make sure you include the story's title and the author's name in the first sentence of a paragraph. If you're writing something longer, you can include it somewhere in the first paragraph of the assignment, but in 1 paragraph, it should be in the first sentence or 2. So make sure you look for the major elements of plot, what happened. Make sure you name the characters, condense it down, make it short. And if you'd like to wrap up the final sentence with maybe touching upon what theme you see, that would be great. Remember, do not use the word I, me, even you. We try to avoid first and second person in formal writing. So write it in the third person using third person pronouns he, she, and names, etc. So you don't need to say I think about anything or I believe. Just cut that out, these extra words, and I know that's what you think because that's what you're writing. So it weakens your argument too. It kind of brings the focus to you instead of the story. So the précis is a summary of a story, any story that we read this quarter, about a paragraph, shorten it up, the story. And remember, don't cut and paste something from another website that's a summary, because I can tell. I've read a lot of them and I can tell writing style. So don't do that because it's going to get you in big trouble. So don't start off that way. Just use your brain. So that's the précis. That's worth 25 points. And then the final written assignment, the third one, is the reading response. It's the first of 3 reading responses that you're going to write for the term. For a reading response, here's what I expect. I expect you to write a good page to 2, double spaced. Don't have a giant heading at the top because I'm going to look for much longer for a page if you do. Just you can put your name and put response number 1, and that's plenty of heading. So no summary. Do not take space up summarizing the story because I've read the story, so I don't really need to read that. What I am looking for you to do in a reading response is I'm looking for you to show me your personal connections to the story. Maybe you found a quote you really liked and you want to explain why you liked it. Maybe there's something that happened in the story that you can relate to or you can learn something from. Explain what you can relate to or learn something from. Maybe you know somebody that's been through something similar. You can explain that. You're showing me a personal connection or personal insight that you have into the story, how the story affects you, how the story is a mirror for you into your life. For each of these 3 weeks that you do a reading response, week 2, week 3, and week 4, you pick one story that's due that week. So for week 2, you do a reading response on one of the stories that is for week 2. Yeah, so again, it should be a page minimum. If it's less than a page, if it's considerably less than a page, then you won't get a grade for it. You'll get it back. So make sure it's thorough, and again, no summary. Really focus on your personal connections or insights into the story. You can look in the module section and explain some different questions that maybe get you thinking in terms of that mode of connections to the story. So yeah, so there's other tests and quizzes and things to take. Remember to take a look at that timeline of assignments. Hopefully you printed one out, or you can look at the assignment tests and surveys, or assignment tasks and surveys. I always forget what that section's called, but that outlines everything that's due for the week 2. And yeah, that's about it. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is I set that assignment tasks and surveys section up so that it lists all the assignments for you to help you out. So there are some things like if it's just a discussion, like for instance, I had a student email me and ask me, in the first week there were some parts that were only discussion, like why English 101 is only a discussion. So if it says that in your assignment tasks and surveys section that you didn't finish that, but you actually did, basically the deal is that assignment tasks and survey section can't pick up when you do something in the discussion section. I do. Like, I'm just going to look at the discussion section, but because I'll read through everything. But it doesn't pick up. Those don't link up. All the assignment tasks and surveys section does, the only way it reads that you've finished is if you open it and then you press finish, and then it says you've completed it, even if you haven't really. So anyway, so just keep that in mind. Don't stress about that. If you are worried about it saying that it's in progress or late or whatever, then just click on it and press finish, and then it'll have read that you completed it. But again, I just look in the discussion section for discussions anyway. So yeah, so I look forward to reading your bios and learning a little bit more about you, and look forward to a little message from me. And again, I hope all is well. Don't hesitate to send me a message if you need any help. Take care.